Welcome to the First Class Agers, the podcast for curious, fun-loving agers. Today we are talking about the transition in our independence as we age. I'm Ido
and I'm Marlene.
And today we picked up this topic because it's something that the transition in our independence, it's something that I see in myself. I observe that it's something that is changing when I'm in my 51st year. Still, it is constant, the way I'm responsible over my kids. And now they are helping me more, they get more responsibilities. And the way I'm acting as a son to my parents who are in their 80s, and how do I deal with it? So I thought it's a very good thing to discuss because it has a lot of issues. What do you think, Marlene?
Ido, I think you're talking about the feeling sandwiched. There's a lot written about the sandwich generation. These are the people who are sandwiched between their immediate responsibilities with their children and their roles and responsibilities as a son and daughter toward their parents. So they have many obligations and they're spreading themselves out more about their responsibilities, about their possibilities to help in both directions. And as you said, it's very true. You see your relationship with your children changing and with your parents. How much is expected of you in this new role?
I think it is one part of it, but I would like to make it a bit more, I'd say, more general subject, because I would like to talk about the transition, because everybody, or for people in your age, which are older than in my 50s, so you've already gone through all of it, and you can have the scope, or you can have the I'd say the observation point of somebody who's already gone through all of it and can see the transition that has happened from a child that had no responsibilities, less responsibilities and less independence, and then as a grown-up you get more, and then when you have your kids you have more responsibilities, and then after there is a certain time, I think I'm in this peak time when I'm responsible for my parents and I'm responsible for my kids. And I know that with time, and it will happen quite fast, the wheel will turn and I will be less responsible of my parents because they will not live forever, and less responsible for my kids because they will be grown up and then they will start taking care of me. So I'll be less independent. And I think this is the transition we're talking about.
This change, as I saw it as an older person, was like a new path. Suddenly, you say, my status has changed. I'm no longer the youngster that I was. I see myself having passed the middle stage. But now, as I'm getting older, let's look at it this way. There's the physical part, walking, maybe a bit slower, doing more in terms of looking for newness, for new opportunities, for new ways to function, whether it's volunteering or trying a new activity or getting involved in something that's a new challenge. Because as you age, it's true, your body is changing. I felt that. But while your body is changing, many of your ideas are changing as well. How you see yourself and what you would still like to do, not to miss out on something new, because if there's something new, you feel refreshed. You're not tired and worn out. You look forward with curiosity and excitement to being able to do something new or to learn something new. And I wonder, when you're at the beginning stage, where you're entering now something, what is usually called the middle stage, if you look forward to aging or not.
You're asking if I'm looking forward for aging?
Uh-huh. It's a change.
I think now I feel great in my early 50s that I can do everything I want, almost everything I want financially and physically, and I have all the support of my kids, of my parents, of my family, of my wife. So I feel very I would almost think at the peak of my life. And then when I look at my parents and I see that the changes that they are going through and the changes they went through, and my mom with her cognition that is declining by the day, and the way my father is taking care of her, and a lot of things. A lot of time I'm asking myself, how will I behave when I will feel that, when I will notice that I'm getting or I'm losing more and more control over my life, and I have to rely on more and more things from the surroundings. How will it affect me? And I think meditation is helping me, and to accept it. It's part of life, not to resist it, to take it calmly, and to observe the change. And I think it's not something that I would like to have, the reduction in my independence, but I know it's something I cannot escape it. So how to take it easily and how to not resist, but not resist, I'm not talking about letting go, but take it easy and observe it and understand each time what situation I'm in, and love life as it is.
I think it depends a lot on how you see yourself. Are you an optimist? Do you feel young at heart? Is what I brought up many times, is that sometimes I feel like I don't see myself as an old person. I see myself as somebody without an age. Because when you talk about aging, there are so many negatives if you want to look at it negatively, because physically you're in decline and mentally, and there's cognitive decline in the sense that it can be very slow and you see you're losing friends and losing ability. But if you see it also as this is a natural part of life, and living fully in the moment for the moment that you're doing things does help. There's also a lot of frustration, and this could be physical frustration as well, where, like I said, the physical ability declines, and also the understanding, especially today about the digital world. It's very difficult for the older person to be excluded. You want to be included. You want to be with the younger people, with the people that you see growing up in front of your eyes while you're declining. It's a difficult stage, but it depends how you look at it, how you accept it. So if you're optimistic in terms of the here and now, this is what I appreciate, and still enjoy the things that you're used to, that you've always liked and continue to like, by keeping active. And if you're inactive, then the loss is greater. You feel it.
I always go back to my parents and my wife's father, because her mother has died already, and I keep admiring you and admiring my father and admiring my mom, that even when she's in there getting less and less active and less with free thought, and I don't know if she has a clear thought, if she had a clear thought for a while already. But even so, both of them keep trying new things, keep admiring what they see, and it provides them with much better life, I think. It provides them a reality that is much more optimistic, and life that are more full. And when I'm looking at my father-in-law that stopped searching for new things and start just accepted his situation, and he's getting more frustrated and just getting more and more limited, mostly by, I think, by his own belief, because if he's not optimistic and he accepts sorry, the things that there are, he doesn't learn any new things. So you keep the same stories all over and over again.
You know, you're so right. I can understand what you mean when you talk about your parents. I can understand how you feel when you say meditation helps. Because as an older person, I am now learning, and this is happening to me since, I think, more since I see myself in the 80s. You appreciate small moments, the important moments. What are they? Being with your children, being with your grandchildren, enjoying your partner. The time, the quality time together becomes important because you're using your time. Whether you use your time by being involved in a new course, a new activity, a new challenge, you see beauty in the unbelievable, limitless beauty of the surroundings of nature. Because as you change in age, you realize that with these changes, you won't always be as you are now. And when you mention the decline, as you see it with your parents, it hurts. And in order to cope with this pain and with the loss in aging, the reality sets in. Time is starting to slip away, and you have to make use of it, the here and now, much more. Young people often say, well, especially when they're building a career or enjoying a new place as they go traveling around the world, wherever they are. They say, oh, I have plenty of time. I'll do this later. You can't postpone in aging. It's now, because the changes are happening. So you learn to take advantage of the here and now. I wonder if this affects you as you enter the stage you're at now.
I think it affects me greatly. I think we diverge from independence, and we're talking about now about preparing for now. So we're covering now a different subject, which is also very, very important. I feel now that I'm in my early 50s, and I know that in 10 years, my physical ability will decline. Maybe my cognitive ability will decline. So I see my next decade as one of the most important decades in my life, that I gained so many things in 50 years. And this is the time to use it before it declines. So I need to travel more. I need to do much more things. before my body will betray me, before my body will decline, to do I have so many things that I kept postponing. I said, I'll finish my first degree, and then I'll finish my master's, and then I'll wait for the kids to be older enough, and then I'll wait for my financial situation to be better. And there's always a thought about I'll do it just when the next stage will be solved. And I think the big change that I have now that I entered my 50s is no more waiting. It has to happen now.
It's so true what you say, because in aging, this is what, when you're talking about independence, I still want to be able to decide what I do, how I do it, and when I do it. And there are times I can't. I can't do what I used to do as quickly. I feel more intensely the feeling of, let me do it, I can still do it, but then I realize it takes longer. It may be more difficult. And understanding that this is a new game. This I have to prepare myself for now. I have to deal with it now. There's a big difference from what you just described. You try to do more and enjoy the moment. Yes, you do. But when you're older, you say, if I don't do it now, I don't know when or if I will be able to.
I think about it already. If I don't do it now, I don't know when and where I'll be able to. I really get a big, or I get more sensitive to this way of thinking. No more waiting, no more. Life is short. We need to gain the most out of it each time. That it makes me enjoy things more.
It becomes more intense. And the meaning, then you say to yourself, what is the meaning of all this? What does it mean for me if today I'm independent and then tomorrow I can't be as independent as I was? And what do I do about it? Do I accept it? Do I fight it? Or do I learn how to condition myself in a new way?
I think when we're talking about fighting it, I think it is fighting over our independence all the time, because if we cannot do something, sorry, that we want to, so we condition ourselves to do it better or with more attention. So this is what is very important, what you said. You always fight for independence. You always, because you fight for your own decisions. You fight for the way, like a small child is fighting to choose the clothes that he will wear to kindergarten. So he wants to be independent. And what you said about when we decide to do something, even if we will not do it as good as we used to, it is still our decision or our struggle to accomplish it, to do it, to have fun with it. So it is fighting over it, but accepting the limitations.
That is so true. I'm thinking again of don't be afraid, try. That's the difference. And I'd even like to bring it to one of the reasons why I did your course. And I hear this more and more, and I see this not only in statistics, I see it in everyday life. I hear of people falling and ending up doing nothing about it. And the fear is more intense and it grows. And then they seem to limit themselves So they may avoid being active. The thing to do, as I see it in myself, is accept that you're afraid and face it. Do something about it. It's the same thing about life in old age. It's scary. If I'm going to lose who I am and how I do what I'm doing, it's not a good feeling. So what am I going to do about this? Am I going to say it won't happen to me? It will happen to me when? No. Now I will try in some way to find a way of improving, whether it's physical, whether it's learning some way to remember more easily. So does it mean taking a course? Does it mean accepting that I can't walk up 3 flights of stairs, but to stay in condition, I can walk up 1 flight of stairs? So you start to compromise. Thing is, you don't see it, I don't see it as paying a price. I see it as accepting a change. And it's a transition, it really is. A change from what I could do before, what I can do now, and I have no idea what I'm going to be able to do in the future. So I better do it now. Enjoy the little things, because going downhill and thinking downhill is not the way to do it.
I like what you said, and I think that I'll take your example of the flights of stairs, the 3 flights of stairs and now 1 flight of stairs, and maybe wait for a while. And to enjoy the ride means that even if you can do only 1 flight of stairs and you do it slowlier, so you can always find a way to enjoy it if I'm doing it slower and if it's more difficult. So maybe now I can accept the difficulty and test myself. And if I'm doing it slower, so maybe I can think about the environment that I'm in and getting more attention about where I am instead of just rushing and running the stairs. You can look at the staircases, if they're nice, if they're not, to observe it more, because there's always, if you do things slowlier, there's also, I'd say, grace in it also, to accept it and to know how to enjoy the best in this position.
They always say, there are many people who say, at this age, I can do whatever I want to do. I've made enough mistakes. I can wear whatever I want. I can say whatever I want, within limits, of course. But you've done it. So this is you. Just be yourself. And that's the answer for me. When I say, I don't have to prove myself anymore. And that's a lovely feeling. I am who I am because that's what I can do. I'll use the stairs again. I can't walk up 3 flights. Okay. But I'm not going to give up, because that's me. I can't remember 30 names. If I remember, let's say 10, good for me. I'll work it up to 15 maybe. And if I succeed, fine. And if I don't, well, that's me. But don't give up. The minute you give up, there's no spark to you.
So I think it's a good point to stop the podcast, because I think you brought up something very important about independence. I think that independence, it's not what you can do and not about the decision that you make, but independence is about keep trying and keep doing the best that you can from every situation. And this is your independence. This is the way we can keep on controlling when everything is in chaos.
I think, Ido, the answer here is, what do you expect of yourself? What are your expectations? Okay, so cognitively, you may not understand and remember as well when you're older, but there's a lot more to trying and saying to yourself, I accept this. Again, it always comes back to, what am I doing about it? If I'm independent, I have to let go of a certain degree, to a certain degree, of trying to keep up with what I used to do. I can't. So let go.
I think it's Viktor Frankl, who is a doctor. He used to be a physician in Auschwitz and a Holocaust survivor. And his whole way of thinking is, which resonates very deeply with me, is whatever the situation is, you can always have the choice of how do you behave and what is your decision to react. And I think it goes everywhere. And when we're talking about independence, I think this is the way. How do you react to your inability? How do you react to your disability? How do you react to the situations that you are the new situations that you are facing? And I think that the optimistic reaction and the reaction that, okay, so this, now I have another limitation, but I can still do things that I like, or I can still find now things that I will like instead, and keep learning stuff and keep being curious. I think this
have a sense of humor. Have a sense of humor about yourself. Don't take yourself so seriously.
exactly.
Of course, when a person's sick and doesn't feel well or is dying, you're looking for some meaning. It's a sad time of life. It's a painful time of life. If these are the very intense situations, I'm not belittling them, but it's how you deal with it. Do you make yourself more miserable? Or are you willing to say, this is something that I'm facing, and try to find some way? And it doesn't matter how much you do, as much as what the meaning is. If it's within you to know, this is the me that I am, and there is a time limit on it. That's why, to enjoy the very uniqueness of yourself and to feel it, even in the most critical situation, then that might be the answer.
Okay, I think we can close this podcast, and I know what we're going to discuss the next one. I think it would be we'll take the advantage of the age gap, and we'll discuss about relationships between parents and siblings in this change. So this would be our next maybe episode.
Yeah.
So I would like to thank you, everybody. Would you like to close it? Marlene, I began, so would you like to close?
All I can say right now is we've talked about many things that lead in different directions, and not on a serious note to end this. I think that to see this as a beginning, we're trying something new, and to keep the spark, to light the spark, and have some kind of energy to keep you interested in seeing how dependent are you in your thinking and in your action. Doesn't matter how much, but just stay with your original self, because that's who we are.
Right.
It's been fun talking. It's been interesting. It's been stimulating. And I think we'll be continuing in a very positive direction. New ideas.
Okay, so thank you very much for listening for the First Class Agers podcast for the curious, fun-loving agers. And today we discussed about the independence transition as we age. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.